It's time to rev your engines. The Syracuse Nationals proudly presents the Cavalcade of Cars, March 22nd through 23rd at the New York State Fairgrounds. The two-day indoor car show features all the classics, plus lifted trucks, Jeeps, motorcycles, and more. Cavalcade of Cars, CNY.com.
GO Oswego, W249BC Mattydale, W261AC Oswego, WTKWHD2 Bridgeport, ESPN Radio. This is the Burdick Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
Yo! Welcome in on this fine Saturday morning. My headphone volume's gone wild. Brian Higgins with you. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We haven't had a nooner in a while on a Saturday. It's like we're lost out here trying to get the grasp on. This is a morning, Saturday morning nooner. Blacksburg today. Oh, this is the CW special of all CW specials. Cuse and Virginia Tech today. CW on your TV. TK99, of course, ESPN 1200 is your radio spot for today. And we got you here for pregame. Just to set the stage here, we got air traffic control on this puppy here for you today. Lacrosse, which normally airs on TK99, they're playing in Utah. You might say, why are they playing in Utah? You're asking too many questions. That's not important now. They're playing in Utah. That's all you need to know is that's what's going on. That game starts at 2 o'clock, pregame at 1:30. That game will be here on this very radio station, ESPN 97.7 here in the Cuse, which means our postgame coverage with Jordan will be on Cuse Sports Talk exclusively. An exclusive Cuse Sports Talk presentation, as always, brought to you by our friends at Lipton Hard Iced Tea. Yeah. So that'll be exclusive on Cuse Sports Talk. We'll still do all the stuff. Jordan will take phone calls and the whole thing after the game here today. But lacrosse will be on this station. Basketball's over on TK. Right now we're here, so just keep your signals straight. And we'll be in good shape for everything we got coming up today. But all the stuff will be happening as per the usual here today. If you'd like to give a ring here during the course of our time together here this morning, 315-437-7644. If you'd like to check in at any point, we can do that. And we'll get into it. Houston, Virginia Tech today. This is... what do we say about all these games? This is an oddly, potentially important game, question mark? Sure. Virginia Tech is, they're kind of in the same boat as Syracuse. Like, they're not great. Like, they've had better moments in recent times than this year for sure. If you remember, all those pretty good, I don't want to say great teams. They did win the league one year in the tournament as a 7 seed, but all those pretty good recent NC State teams with guys like Hunter Cador and Sean Padula and that whole crew that rolled through there, they're all gone. They are all gone. So you're going to be presented with a lot of names today as far as the Hokies that you think about all these guys. Didn't they have that guy that hit a lot of threes and that other guy that hit a lot of threes? And weren't those post guys that were problems over the years? The answer is yes. The answer is, do you need to concern yourself with those people today? The answer to that is no. That whole group from Virginia Tech is essentially gone. So it's new folks that Syracuse will be dealing with today down in Blacksburg. That said, Syracuse's recent trips to Blacksburg, yeah, they've happened. 5 straight trips down to Blacksburg, Virginia, have resulted in losses for Syracuse. So it has not been an easy place for the Orange to play here in the last decade or so. We'll see if they can turn that around today. You look at the standings. We spent a lot of the lead into the last game against NC State on Wednesday talking about that, all right, must win? No. Would you prefer to win it so you don't have to deal with the potentiality of missing out on the ACC tournament? Yes. Syracuse has won the game. Has that guaranteed anything? No, but you observe the ACC standings now, and you feel like the Orange, even if they completely fall on their face here for the next week and a half, these next 3 games tonight at SMU on Tuesday, hosting Virginia a week from tonight, regular season finale in the Dome, that they'd still be good to make the ACC tournament. The other side of the coin is as such that the standings are so clustered up in the ACC this year that Syracuse isn't this is extremely unlikely. Is anything extremely unlikely in the ACC this year? This is unlikely. Say Syracuse wins today. Say Syracuse beats Virginia a week from today. You look at the ACC standings right now, the Orange have a non-completely stupid chance of climbing up into the maybe, like they're just a whisker away from the 9 seed right now, which is nuts just because it is such a cluster in the middle of the league. Like Duke 16-1, Louisville, Clemson 15-2. Those three are so far out in front, it's not even funny right now. SMU sitting in 4th. The Orange head to Dallas on Tuesday. Wake Forest, which had about as bad of a week as a bubble team could have possibly had this last week with losses to NC State and Virginia, sitting in 5th. Then you get Carolina. Stanford has 10 wins in the league. Georgia Tech sitting 8-9. That's the top 8 in the league. The top 9 in the league do not play on the opening Tuesday of the ACC tournament because the 8-9 game is on Wednesday. Florida State, who Syracuse has lost to, is 7-10. Pittsburgh, who Syracuse has lost to twice, is 7-10 in the league, so not ideal tiebreak situations. Virginia, who Syracuse is yet to play, is 7-10 in the league. Virginia Tech, who Syracuse is playing today, is 7-10 in the league. The Orange and Notre Dame are both 6-11, and then behind Syracuse are the likely teams that will miss the conference tournament. Miami's already guaranteed to miss the conference tournament. Then 2 of Boston College, NC State, and Cal are likely also to miss the conference tournament. Syracuse is in decent shape because they have head-to-head tiebreakers over all 3 of those schools that are directly behind them in the standings. So, like, at this second, Syracuse is in that 13-14 spot in a tie with Notre Dame, but 12, 11, 10, and 9 in the league are only 1 game ahead of Syracuse. And the Orange, you know, in the idea of that anybody in that pile of the league could beat anybody else just because it's all a hideous mess this year. Well, Syracuse goes and wins today. They plop themselves in that. If not, all right, then you're probably hanging out in the 13-14 seed region. But if they can win today and beat Virginia, if they can handle business against the Commonwealth over the course of the next 8 days, you got a chance to move up. If not, you'll likely settle down into this 14 or 15 seed, 13 or 14 seed realistically region of the ACC tournament. So is it the largest stakes of all time? No. But stakes. Who doesn't like steaks? We got that going on. All right, let's look back at what has put the Orange in this position as opposed to us talking doomsday missing the ACC tournament scenarios, which is what we would have been doing had Wednesday gone differently. But Wednesday went comfortably. The Orange led the whole game, and they won by 14. Didn't trail for a single second on Tuesday. Jumped out to the lead early, slowly built it over the course of the first half, and ended up winning 74-60 against NC State. Moments of question? Yes. Second half, you got the lead. You're up 15. You're up 17. You're up 15. You're up 12. Uh-oh. Lead's down to 8. Lead got down to 8 with right around 8 minutes to go in the game on Wednesday evening in the Dome. And it was at that point, I would imagine many of you had the same thought that I did at that point on Wednesday evening. And it was something to the effect of, uh-oh, it's about to happen again. NC State had been playing like, what's the nice way to phrase this? Hot garbage up till that point of the game. The Orange had played well, but NC State was a colossal mess up to that point of the game. Some of their shots were just like, what was that? Like, what even was that? But they hit a couple of threes. They started making a move. 8-point game. Red calls timeout. The Orange had turned it over 3 straight possessions. Jaquan Carlos back in the lineup. All right. He at least is able to bring the ball across midcourt. Then JJ basically from there closes the game. It went from 8, quick 7-0 run in about a minute and a half. It's back to 15. And then Syracuse was comfortably in front pretty much the rest of the way. But there was that one moment of peril with 8 minutes left in the game that when those moments have come up recently have not been answered in a positive way for Syracuse at all. But on Wednesday night in the Dome, at least for one night, we'll see today, was it one night only? that moment of peril in the second half when a big lead, and this happened against Pittsburgh a week ago, when that big lead disappeared, it just kept right on going and it left town. And I get it, Pitt's better than NC State. NC State was not good on Wednesday. My goodness, they were not good. But Syracuse's lead, like you're reaching that tipping point, you're about to go over the falls, and Syracuse was able to get it back on track. Eddie Lampkin, who was the guy that I think was the driving force early for sure. He ended up with 14 points and 15 rebounds. He and Jair Davis asserting themselves inside was kind of the style in which the game was played, which significantly benefited Syracuse on Wednesday and potentially, based on Virginia Tech's roster, could benefit them again today. But Syracuse was able to do that, and then JJ, who was coming off a really ragged second half in closing time against Pittsburgh, really ragged, came out last 8 minutes of the game. 15 of his 17 came in the second half, and he was able to close the game, and the Orange were able to bring home victory on Wednesday night. And very, very likely, it's not going to eliminate the conversation about red. We know that. That's not going anywhere anytime soon. But it is going to eliminate, in theory here, the conversation about, God forbid, missing the ACC tournament. So the biggest possible negative there seems to be in the rear view. And a chance here today. 2 of your last 3 games, I'm not feeling very confident about SMU on Tuesday night, but 2 of your last 3 games are against extremely similar opponents this year. Virginia Tech and Virginia. And I know in recent years we're not used to saying this about Virginia for sure next Saturday. And Virginia Tech has been a very solid team of late. They're both just kind of bleh this year. Syracuse is in the same bleh pile as those two. What does that lead to today? I don't know. Like, you tell me Syracuse wins this game? Sure. The Orange have not played well on the road, but if you tell me they win the game, all right. If you tell me, okay, yeah, Syracuse doesn't play well on the road, and Syracuse goes out and gives kind of a falling apart second half, as they've often done on the road this year, you're not going to knock me over with a feather on that one. Like, none of it's surprising. Virginia Tech is not good enough to dominate Syracuse. Syracuse is not good enough to dominate Virginia Tech. So I think we may have yet another one of these. Hey, the ACC is not having a great year, but these teams got to play each other anyway kind of games here today. So we'll see if the Orange can use this to climb up a rung or two in the standings over the course of the next week and a half, with just 3 games to go in the regular season. With that, we'll take a break here on our Burdick pregame coverage. When we come back, we'll hear from Adrian Autry, part of his weekly visit with Stephen Pauly, as he always does on Orange Nation on Thursdays. We'll look back at the recent series between Syracuse and Virginia Tech. We'll try to get you an Elijah Moore update. Will he get back on the court today? They've been hopeful here the last 2 games. We'll see if we see any signs of Chapa out there today. And your calls, if you'd like, at 315-437-7644. We'll step aside for a few. Come back with Red after this. It's Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.
Syracuse.
What is up, chat? Possible Florida guy. Like, a lot of crap would have to happen that figuring out all the crap right now is a waste of time. But it's technically possible. And technically possible is the best kind of possible. Well, SL, you're being selfish. Maybe I want them on a mid-afternoon path. Yeah, because I'm selfish. $2 Evendo. A happy CW day to all, Alphabet Guy. We should all celebrate. The last CW day of the season. What a moment. What a time to be alive. What a moment for all of us. I think it's ESPN Plus, I want to say, Bowling Ball. I believe, yes, somewhere, I believe it's ESPN Plus. Yes, it is original to, like, the week after that Super Bowl, Govendo. This is post-Tyree helmet catch. Championship wear. Well, I think they might have said ACC Network Extra. I think ESPN Plus is like. There's no way a road game at Utah is going to be on something called ACC Network Extra. But hang on, what is it on? Hang on, let's look it up. What does the Syracuse lacrosse schedule say? Lacrosse schedule. Yes, ESPN Plus, which means that ESPN Plus is a situation that if you think you have it because you have access to ACC Network Extra through your cable plan, you would be incorrect. You also need to have ESPN Plus. Yeah, the women are playing. Who's the women got today? Clemson? Then you don't have it, bowling ball. You can listen to Tim and Kyle right here on ESPN Radio. Woo. I believe Syracuse.com wrote that it was on ACC Network Extra, the lacrosse game. That is not correct. Oh, they are there. They are in Utah. Likelihood, like, men's lacrosse better win that freaking game. I'd say the basketball game is give or take a coin. I mean, what's Virginia Tech favored by 3.5 right now? Virginia Tech is favored by 3.5, so that's a give or take a coin flip. Lax is going to win that game. That would be a bad loss. Like, Utah's all right, but you can't lose that game after you've lost the last two. Lax loses today, we can begin a full-fledged panic. Just like buying all the bread and milk at the grocery store level of panic. We can panic. Had to be dad yesterday afternoon, Supercat. Had to get the kids. Oh, yeah. Fire everybody, bowling ball. We might need to fire Red if Gary loses today. I don't know. Yeah, and they got to figure out that extra man. Like, Burt Whistle was a great crease guy in that extra man.
Toyota pregame show.
That it is. Here we are, Brian Higgins with you. The day is Saturday. Tip time about 45 minutes out. Oh, it's a CW Saturday. Live it, learn it, love it. Last one of the year on the television side of things. Radio for the game, of course, is TK99. ESPN on our AM dial at 1200. The lacrosse game will be on these airwaves later. They are out in lovely Utah, about 4,000 feet above sea level for today's second ever meeting between the Orange and the Utes. So lots going on. You can, in theory, the basketball game is going to flow right into the lacrosse game. It should be ending right around 2, and that's when the lacrosse game will begin. And for those looking to watch the lacrosse game on the television, that's an ESPN Plus situation, not ACC Network Extra. Yes, those are technically different things. So if you have ACC Network Extra because you've got your YouTube TV, your Spectrum, or whatever subscription, that does not mean you have ESPN Plus. You may have it because you have it, but it is not one and the same, which means you may like to listen to Tim and Kyle woo it up from lovely Salt Lake City today with their pregame show at 1:30 here, and face-off coming just past 2 o'clock. So that sets the stage for a busy day on our airwaves of Syracuse sports. So... yeah, a lot going on this time of year. March. It's March, everybody. That used to be a more fun thing to say with basketball that March had arrived. Yeah, not as fun this year for the Orange. It only really means this year that the transfer portal is going to arrive in a few weeks' time. With that, let's check in with the head coach of the Syracuse Orange. He joins Orange Nation every Thursday, as always brought to you by Oswego County Mutual. Here is the visit that Stephen Pauly had with Red from just a couple days back.
You talked about how it got a little dicey there, and you're up by 19 at one point in that second half, and they cut it to 8, and things got a little uncomfortable, right? I'm sure there were a lot of nervous fans in the building. You call timeout, you regroup everybody, and then they came out and they responded. Can you speak to, I guess, what was said during that stage of the game on the sidelines, in the huddle, and how your guys responded to being challenged by NC State in that second half?
I think we've been in this situation a couple of times this year where we self-inflict. We had some self-inflicted turnovers. I just told the guys, hey, look, calm down. All right, we know where we need to go. I just kind of reminded them that we were in the bonus, so we need to be aggressive. We don't need to take any rush shots and really kind of just stick to the game plan, which was once we got them in the bonus to keep attacking the rim. And that's basically it. And then defensively, we had to make a couple of, adjustments as far as just talking to them, about what they were trying to do. Styles had got going, then Parker had headed to. We had to just remind them those are the two guys that can make shots. So we gotta pay more attention to that.
Coach, the number the opponent has scored in the past few games has been a little jarring. And yesterday's game, it was a little jarring too. Only 60 points from NC State. What changed, and what caused you to be able to hold them to only 60 points last night?
I think it was a combination of, I thought we did a decent job of contesting their threes. Obviously, NC State shoots a lot of threes, so we wanted to be there on the catch. I thought we did a decent job of that, but they also missed some open looks. But I thought overall, though, we did a good job of, teams shoot a ton of threes, and as you talk about scoring, scoring is up in basketball, period. So, they say some of the better defensive teams hold teams in 70, 69, 70, 68, 67, 68. And back in the day, it used to be 60, 55, right? So it's changed a lot, just the way the rules are and the way the people attack it. But I just thought defensively we contested a lot. We made them take some contested threes. They didn't have, as many, uncontested shots.
As Paulie so eloquently said earlier in the show, it seemed like on the other end of the court on offense that you guys took advantage of the advantages that you had. You said something along those lines, right, Paulie? And meaning, early on in that second half, Jair Davis, 6 straight points. And then when the game's on the line after NC State gets it to 8, it's, Eddie and JJ take over down the stretch. And, Eddie going to work down low and JJ making plays. Can you speak to that and looking at matchups last night and exploiting some of those matchups and having your best players, again, rise to the challenge when you needed them most?
I think, that's always, a coach's job is to try to find matchups and advantages that you think you have and your team has, and try to, sometimes people do it in a creative way. Sometimes it's just, very simple. I thought yesterday we were very simple. We had a size advantage inside, and I thought we just really kind of cut out the fluff and got right to it and played out of that. And then I thought at the end, JJ, it's probably one of his better games. I know he scored a lot of points, but I thought overall, his patience in the first half, letting the game come to him, and then even the second half, I thought he took over when he needed to take over. But I just thought we did we kept things very simple, and we took advantage, like you said, Paulie, of the advantages that we thought we had.
What does a win like this do for this team, Coach? It seems like, again, from the outside looking in, we would, there was a lot. It seemed like there was a lot of pressure on you guys last night to get the win. We knew what the situation was with the ACC tournament and a few teams nipping at your heels. And by winning this game, that seems like, that's off the table now. You guys should be in the ACC tournament. And now, you have a chance to climb the standings given how bunched up everybody is in the ACC. What does a win like that do for your team right now?
I mean, obviously it's huge. Again, we haven't we've dropped 3 in a row, and a win is always good to have. I think it's good for our confidence. I think with the way we played, like you said, Paulie, everyone contributed. So I think it was really good for our team and moving forward. Going forward to the next game, you want to be playing well, especially at the end of the year. No matter what, we're not worrying about the record. We just worry about our opponent, and that's how we have to approach these last 3 games. And But it's good to get a win. Obviously, it helps everyone. It was the drive into work was a little bit better today. Them coming to the gym. When they get ready for practice, they're a little bit more upbeat. So obviously that win is important for the team moving forward as we try to finish these last 3 games out.
Coach, I'd like to ask you usually a question that we get from the fans a lot, and it's something that what goes into your subbing patterns with the center position? What leads to you putting McLeod in? And for the average guy, is it just when their one comes out, you put McLeod in? What leads to you taking Eddie out and putting McLeod in?
It depends. I think. Obviously with Naheem and you playing against some of these smaller teams, which NC State, they can go small and stretch you out. So, with someone like Naheem, you have to be able to put him in the best situations and have him be able to match up on the other end. So, when you put him in, you really have to think about, kind of what's going on, what other the opponent has out there, because you don't want to put him in. Some of these teams can go 5 out and, have him out there on the perimeter trying to guard a 3-point shooter. I think it happened a couple of games ago. Someone stepped out, we had him in, and, they had a guy out there that was a stretch 5. That's just not a good matchup for him.
You talk about trying to win as many games as you can right now, and the next opportunity is Saturday, going on the road at Virginia Tech, a chance to make it 2 in a row. I mean, what can you say about the Hokies? What stands out to you as you look at them and get ready for that contest?
Firepower offensively, they're a really good offensive team, a lot of movement, a lot of screening, and people don't give them a lot of credit, but a scrappy defensive team, and a team that plays really well at home. I think they the last game they played, Louisville, who's one of the better teams in our league. They played them, got back into the game and played them very close. They always play well at home, so it'll be a challenge for us.
I got 2 quick ones for you as we close things out here. I noticed last night you opened up your press conference mentioning how proud you were of this team. And I just wanted to give you a chance here just to comment on the effort last night, because, as Paulie and I have been talking about during the first hour, there was an urgency. There was it mattered to the team last night. You could tell that with the players and coaches that game mattered. And so I just wanted to offer you an opportunity just to say what you wanted to say about the effort that you saw from the guys last night.
I was obviously, we know that this has been a tough season, and you think about guys like Eddie and Jaquan and Jair, Lucas, and then just all the guys, but in particularly those guys and JJ and Chris and the guys that have been here, and just the whole team of what has happened this year, what has transpired. Obviously, not having a season that we want, and being kind of close, in instances like having the ability to pull out some of those games, which we didn't. And you talk about guys transferring up in this new era of transferring, and this is their experience, and for them to come out and play that way, and obviously they're fighting for their experience. This is their first time here at Syracuse, and this is a big deal for them, and obviously a little bit of letdown. So I'm so proud that they have impacted it, and we're going to finish this season, and then we're going to get ready for the next season, and that's what we're fighting for, battling for, and I'm glad and I'm proud of them that they came out and, like you said, they played together. They played with an urgency. They played like, hey, this is what we still have something to play for. And you don't see that a lot, especially late in the season, where people start to think about what's their next step, where they're going after this, if the guys are not happy, I'm in a transfer portal. There's a lot of distractions that happen during this time of the year, especially at the end of the year, on good teams and on teams like us who are struggling right now, so I'm just proud of these guys. They are still all in. They were excited. They were pulling for each other. We've had a spirited practice, and all year long, this has been a great group. Again, the results haven't been what we wanted, but these guys have come to practice every day, and I love coaching this group, and I wouldn't change that for anything. This group right here, is a group that they want to be good. They want to win. They're about the right things.
Well said. Well said. You have a
Coach,
comment, Paul?
I got to follow up. How have you been able to keep them together? This is a position you haven't been in either. How have you been able to keep them together in this situation where the team is struggling?
these players are like my kids, and and I'm a parent, and when as adults, we all know. Obviously, health is important and family is important, but basketball is important for all of us, and it's tough times. And when you have tough times, you have to be able to navigate those tough times, and you got to be able to pick your head up and fight your way out of it. I've done that my whole life, and that's what we talk about. I think we talk about that. I'm sure their parents are talking about that as well, but our staff is that way. And you come into our gym, you think we would, 32-0. That's how we approach practice with the energy and the spirit. We don't let those results change who we are and the confidence that we have in ourselves. And that's what I talk about.
All right, Red Autry talking to Stephen Pauly on Orange Nation a couple days ago. As always, brought to you by Oswego County Mutual. Red has the group down in Blacksburg right now. Get you some news from warm-ups, injury related. What do we know? Maybe something, things. We'll tell you about that when we come back. And your phone calls as well, 315-437-7644. About a half hour out here, Cuse and Virginia Tech. When we come back, we may also play everybody's favorite game. What's on the CW before the game? I don't know. We'll keep eyes on that as well. It's Q Sports Talk and ESPN Radio. Though we won't tell you about it if this is just an infomercial from a different car company. Ice cream? What kind of ice cream? Can I get a bomb pop? A lot of excitement in the chat, Laker, for a lot buzzing on the YouTube for Cuse, Virginia Tech, and the battle of mediocrity. Hey, it's not for the bottom, Kenny. It's for the lower middle. Oh, I think Cuse will win it. 18-13, something like that. That'll be a good game, Laker. It is, Ryan. Quarterback, running back, wideout day. Still not sure why Rondé didn't run the 40 yesterday. He did other stuff. I think that stuff starts at 1 today, Ryan. I believe. Okay, Q Sports North. Very specific predictions. We like that. He is warming up, Super Cat. It doesn't seem like any official decision has been made. Donna just posted a video of him shooting. Yeah, I doubt he starts. Yes, good, Ryan. Go to the source.
.1, 1200 AM and 1440 AM. This is the Burdick Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
Yeah, this is the home of the Giants. I'm wearing my Super Bowl 42 hoodie today. Yeah. Shout out David Tyree. I was going to tell you what's on the CW leading into the Cuse game today, but yeah, it's an infomercial for a car company that's not the one sponsoring this show. So, yeah, Pound Sand, other car company. You hang with us until high noon, and then go check out the CW, or head on over to TK99 ESPN 1200 for the game today down in Blacksburg, Syracuse, and Virginia Tech. Well, we do have a little positive injury news right now. I don't know how positive yet in our Harding and Mazzotti injury report. Elijah Moore is warming up. Matt and Sats mentioned it earlier over on TK99. Donna Datota has a short video of Chapa taking shots. Her video is from roundabouts 1 hour ago of him taking shots at Castle Coliseum, coming back from the toe injury. Donna was told it will be a game time decision depending on how he feels in warmups. So don't know what that means. I doubt he's going to hop back into the starting lineup. You generally don't make a game-time starting lineup decision on a guy that's been a not all-the-time starter to begin with. But potentially some positive news for Ciampa. Maybe we will see him back out there today. I don't know if it's going to become obvious at any point, or if we'll just have to see if he gets into the game at all. So we'll see. There we are, Harding and Mazzotti injury report for today for the Orange. As far as this day in SU basketball history, brought to you by Shep Family Funeral Home. Celebrate your loved one with help from Shep. Visit shepfamily.com. All-time series, Cuse and Virginia Tech stands Syracuse 13 wins and Virginia Tech 7. 5 of those 7 wins, though, for Virginia Tech are the most recent 5 games that have been played in Blacksburg. The Orange have lost 5 straight at Castle Coliseum. So there we are. Orange have lost 5 straight there. We'll see if they can turn it around today, man. The Orange have run into some hot shooting teams down at Castle over the recent years. Hunter Couture is not on this team anymore. Okay? Hunter Couture is not on this team anymore. That's good news. Sean Badula, not on this team anymore. A lot of these bombers that they've had over the years are not on this team anymore. They have other guys that can shoot it now, but the guys that we've grown quite familiar with that have really hurt the Orange in recent years, really hurt the league. I mean, think about when Virginia Tech went on that crazy run in the ACC tournament a few years back. That was on the backs of those guys making just an ungodly amount of threes over a 4-day period. That game that year was that Barclays year? Wherever they were that year to win the ACC tournament. This year, Virginia Tech from deep is making 8 a game. Good, but it's not quite as crazy as some of those teams they had recently. They're a solid three-point shooting team, 36% as an outfit. They're good, but it's not overwhelming as it has been in years past. And Toby Lawal is the only player on their entire roster who is averaging more than 10 points a game. So while they have guys that can shoot threes, and Jaden Shutt and Ben Burnham and Jaden Young and Brandon Recksteiner, there's a lot of guys that can hit threes. It's not like, okay, this is the guy. They're kind of spread all over the place on the team, so Syracuse will have to be very aware of that. As far as the last meeting between these teams. It came a year ago, almost to the day. It was February 27th last year, Stephen Fonte's birthday. Syracuse won 84-71 in the Dome. That was a big Judah Mintz day. He had 29 in the win for the Orange last year. J.J. Starling had 13 in the game. Chris Bell, who's been shooting much, much better of late, 43% in ACC games from the outside, had just 7 in that game. He did not play very well in that one. And then you look at last year's box score for Virginia Tech, and there's just not a lot to harvest from it. Sean Badula led the way with 18. Hunter Kador had 12. The guys that are on their team this year either were not on the team yet last year or didn't really factor in the proceedings in the game in the Dome last year. So you look at, Syracuse's roster, Virginia Tech's roster, transfer portal, Sean Padula mentioning him, he's at Ole Miss now. Like, you look around and you look at this game and you look at the game last year and you try to, add 1 + 1 here to get 2. Good luck on that, because I don't know what you're taking out of last year's game that really directly applies to this year's game. Mike Young's still the head coach there. He generally does a fantastic job. Been a bit more of a struggle this year for the Hokies, who are hanging in at 7 wins in the league right now. So we'll see where they can go today. We'll see what the Orange can do. But we know this. It's been a big-time struggle for Syracuse in Blacksburg at Castle Coliseum over the last decade or so, almost regardless of who the players are on Syracuse, who the players are on Virginia Tech. But this year, well, Virginia Tech's been a tournament or tournament bubble team of late. They are not. They're 12-16, 7-10 in the league. The Orange, as we know, are 12-16, 6-11 in the league. So both these teams are hanging out in essentially the same pile as their counterpart. With that, we'll step aside for a few. When we come back, still time for a call if you'd like. 315-437-7644. And we'll continue to set the table for Syracuse and Virginia Tech from Blacksburg. About 20 minutes out. Opening tip today here, as we're back after this on Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.
This.
Yeah, Fidel ran real fast. Yeah, everyone runs the 40. I mean, you're not required to. So go around a 4 or 5. There we go. There you go, Pep. Why not, indeed? Had a little Trapper's 2 wings in my life last night, Patty. Marius Yanulis, does he have any eligibility left? That guy could stroke it. Doesn't Marius have some I'm a genius with computers job right now or something like that? It's a weird triple header, Frank, because what if the NASCAR race goes oddly long? Like, what if there's crashes and stuff in the Xfinity race? Yeah, because there's like nowhere to stream it or no good place to stream these games when there's like overlap. I don't know like what they do. It's a mess. No, I haven't seen 70 bajillion commercials about that, SL.
This is the Burdick Ford and Burdick Toyota pregame show.
That it is. Brian Higgins with you. Last few minutes, working our way toward a tip just past noon today. 315-437-7644 if you'd like to chime in, partake in the last few minutes of the show today. One other injury nugget that potentially could impact this game for Virginia Tech side as our Harding-Mazzotti injury report continues. I have not seen nor heard any information on Virginia Tech center Elijah Poteet. Poteet is he's a big boy now, 6'9", 260. So if he's healthy and ready to go, he and Eddie will probably have a big-time rumble between the two today. But Poteet, a week ago today in Virginia Tech's game against Miami, tweaked his knee. It was not thought to be serious at the time, but he did not play in Virginia Tech's loss to Louisville on Tuesday. So no word as of yet if Poteet's going to be available tonight. It is his senior day as part of this Virginia Tech roster. If they do not have Poteet in the game, they lose a lot of, I don't want to say size, but they lose a lot of heft. They got a 7-foot sophomore off the bench by the name of Patrick Wessler. But while Poteet is rocketed at 260, Wessler 250, they say, but it doesn't feel like his 250 is packed with quite as much strength as Poteet's veteran 260 there. So we'll see how that goes. And obviously we know how well Lampkin's been playing of late compared to earlier in the season. So things to keep an eye on there. If you look at injuries on both sides, Syracuse may be getting Chapa Moore back today. We'll keep an eye on that. But realistically, a more significant impact on today's game is will Virginia Tech center, who is a physical presence in Poteet, be available when Lampkin has been playing so well? And specifically, look at the last game. I get it, NC State stinks. My goodness, they were not good on Tuesday. But Lampkin set the tone. What did he have? Was it 4 points and 5 rebounds, 5 points and 4 rebounds? He had 9 combined things at the first immediate time out of the game on Wednesday. I forget which was the 5 and which was the 4. Doesn't really matter. It was an excellent start to the game, and it really defined the pace and rhythm that the game would be played in. And Eddie ended up going 14 points and 15 rebounds in the game, and he's been a double-double way more often than not of late. I would predict the same for him today. But take a Poteet in or out, that may be the difference of if Lampkin can get like 10 and 10, or if he can get back up in that 15 and 15-ish range today. So I think that'll be a fascinating to watch from a Virginia Tech injury perspective in this one. What are we going to see from JJ today? JJ in much higher spirits in our visit on Thursday this week than he was the week prior. Where's JJ going to be at? And I thought it was very interesting in the difference, and this very much directly combines with the idea of Lampkin and what Jair Davis was able to accomplish on Wednesday against NC State. A week and a half ago against Pittsburgh, the Orange were killing it early. Starling and Bell hit a ton of threes in the first half. JJ went ice cold in the second half of the game against Pittsburgh. Lead vanished. All of a sudden, you went from 16 up to double figures down in that game a week and a half ago at the Pete. On Wednesday, Starling slow start, but not because he was misfiring all over the lot. He was just kind of letting it happen. They were getting the ball inside. Jair was getting touches. Lampkin was getting touches. Then, final 10 minutes of the game, JJ closed it. He had 17 points on Wednesday, 15 of which came in the second half. And I get it. The quality of opponent was certainly lesser than on Wednesday, but it seemed like a much better order of operations for Syracuse game plan wise, where the ball is going wise, which order people should get touches in. Like you all know JJ is going to have the ball in his hands at some point, but they kind of warmed him up into it and allowed Lampkin and to some extent Jair Davis establish the idea of what was going on early on. If the Orange can do that order of operations again here today, I think you're in it with a chance going forward, and then JJ potentially can be the guy that closes the game down the stretch. As far as Virginia Tech, who's going to do what? I don't know. They got one guy on the roster that's averaging more than 10 points a game. One. Who's going to shoot it? I don't know. They got 5 or 6 guys capable of making threes. Who do they lean on any single game? Yeah, it's predicting that is a fool's errand, but Syracuse is going to have to be glued to guys on the perimeter. Their defense is going to need to look a lot more like it did on Wednesday night against NC State than it has. Remember, NC State scored just 60 points on Wednesday than it has in realistically any other game this year, certainly any other game in the ACC this year. So we'll see if that can happen again here today for the Orange. And can Syracuse play well on the road? It has not been something they have done very well all season. They got to win at Boston College. They got to win at Cal. Besides that, yeah. Exactly. Syracuse has just not done anything away from the Dome this year besides those 2 games. Can they get a win on the road? And not just the road, the neutral sites, right? Think of the 3 games at Barclays Center. 0 for 3. 0 for 3. Can they get a win on the road? We know, all right, you're likely in the ACC tournament now. At last check, the ACC tournament's not in the Dome. It'll be in Charlotte this year. So if you want to, I don't want to say make noise, if you want to win a game down there, if you want to get out of Tuesday down there, you're going to have to win a game at minimum at a neutral site. Warming it up just a little bit with a win on the road today could be a little bit of something to get you ready for that, man. It's hard to predict a Syracuse win, though, isn't it? You liked what you saw Wednesday. I think we've got another close game today. The spread is Virginia Tech's favored by 3.5. I have no good reason to think it will be anything other than a close game. But the Orange have not won back-to-back games since early January. Haven't won back-to-back games since early January. It makes it hard to predict that it will happen here today. I think it's close. I'll go 74-71 Virginia Tech. If you told me those numbers are exactly flipped and it's the other way, I'll just nod my head and believe you, because it just feels like that kind of game here today between the Orange and the Hokies. Again, if you'd like to watch the game, the CW is your place for that. Cuse grad Tom Wormy with Georgia Tech grad Brian Oliver. That's where he went, right? They'll be on the call for you on the CW at noon. Matt Park, Jim Saddlein already rolling on TK99. They're sitting next to Paulie somewhere in Castle Coliseum in Blacksburg right now. TK and ESPN 1200. After the game, it is a Cuse Sports Talk only exclusive post-game show with our guy Jordan Capozzi. So get back to Cuse Sports Talk after the game. Jordan will be here. He'll take your calls. We'll try to hear from Red. All good stuff after the game here today. If you are looking for lacrosse later, normally on TK99, today it will be on ESPN 97.7 here in the Cuse. Pregame from Salt Lake City. Cuse in Utah starts at 1:30 with Tim and Kyle from out there. Full coverage today for that will be right here on ESPN Radio here today, as Lax should hit the opening faceoff right around when the basketball game is ending today. So there we are. There is the game plan for the rest of the day vis-a-vis Syracuse Sports. Enjoy it, everybody. I'll be back with you 4 o'clock Monday right here in the 315 on Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Radio.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are